So at the end of my talk today, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I think I could possibly be the next Bill Gates. But before I do that, I want to be just a little bit self-indulgent here and give a shout out to my beautiful wife, Patty. Patty and I are here celebrating our 26th anniversary. And the theme is harmonious havoc, and she has been the harmony of my life. And she will probably tell you I've been all the havoc in hers. I love you, babe. Happy anniversary. So the first year of our marriage, I took a job with a plumbing contractor, and I'm on my very first sewer backup call. And I arrive at the job, and I'm wheeling the equipment around the back of the house, and as I turn the corner into the backyard, there before me is the biggest pool of nasty, raw sewage I could ever imagine. And this thing is like 30 feet across, and right smack dab in the middle is the pipe that I got to get access to fix this thing. And I'm standing there, I'm thinking, there is no way. When my boss comes walking around the corner, and I look at him and I say, what do you expect me to do with that? It's disgusting. And he just looks at me and says, smells like money to me. And he just jumped right in. And I never acquired his peculiar sense of smell, but I did end up taking over the business. And we had a good run. And for a lot of years, we made good money. And then 2008 rolled around, and things started to turn. And by 2010, I had hit bottom. My business had tanked. My house was in foreclosure, and I was scared, and I was stressed, and I was tired. But about this time, a friend of mine sent me a book by Richard Stearns called The Hole in Our Gospel. And in this book, Richard paints a very detailed picture of the absolute chasm between the wealth of the Western world and the abject poverty that so many people in this world live through. And this really helped to give me perspective. It helped me realize that my bottom was still way higher than most of the world would dare to even dream. And so Patty and I realized we had a choice. We could either continue to be miserable and complain about our situation, or we could choose to be thankful for the many blessings that we really did have. And then maybe we could even do something for those less fortunate. So in the fall of 2010, I boarded an aircraft bound for Haiti, where I was a volunteer on the reconstruction of an orphanage that had collapsed in the earthquake there. And that project went really well. We built a fantastic building for 40 just gorgeous young girls. And I returned home. But there was one bit of unfinished business. You see, we never really had a good way of moving water to this building. We had a little hand pump that did about 5 gallons a minute, and it just wasn't adequate for the 40 girls living here. And so I sort of filed this problem in the back of my mind, hoping one day I'd get around to working on it. And business was still slow, so about 3 months later, I finally sat down one day to do it, kissed Patty goodbye as she headed off to work, and got on the internet. And there's really nothing commercially available that's any better or does any more than what we already had. But I did see a couple of examples where people had used a bicycle to power a small centrifugal pump. And these were still only putting out about the same 5 or 6 gallons a minute. But it gave me the idea to think, what would a bicycle do to a higher capacity swimming pool pump? So I ran down that morning to the local swimming pool supply house, went through their boneyard, and a couple hours later with some duct tape and baling wire, I had a working model that, to my surprise, could pump 50 gallons a minute. And so, pardon the pun, I was pumped. And next morning, woke up, had to figure out how to get it to Haiti. I knew that Assist International, organization that I've volunteered with over the past, had a container going there. So I called my friend Jim Stunkel, and unbeknownst to me, the day before, as I'd been developing this pump, Jim had been searching the internet for something just like it for a project in Uganda. And so that first pump didn't go to Haiti. That first pump went to that Assist project in the hills of Rahira, Uganda, and it was on a medical center, and it was very successful, and for the first time ever, that medical center had running water, and it was great. It was a fun time. But it was the reaction of the villagers as we were installing this that really showed the potential. You see, the people in this village are subsistence farmers. That means that they live or die based on their ability to grow enough food when the rains come. And they wanted this pump to water their fields. And so I returned home, started looking into what it means to be a small-scale farmer in the developing world, and I can tell you it is a tough life. The woman in this picture is scratching through the ground looking for single grains of rice to feed her starving family. This is a seasonal rice paddy, and when they're lucky and the rains come, this field will flood and they'll be able to get a crop of rice in. But then the dry season always comes and the rice runs out and they go hungry, and this woman is hungry. The saddest thing is this woman's field is right along the banks of the Niger River. And if she only had an adequate way of moving water from the river onto her field, she could grow food year-round. Unfortunately, her story is not unique. Of the 2 billion poorest in our world, 70% are small-scale farmers. They are hardworking, industrious people, but they can't grow enough food to feed their families. Hunger and malnutrition claim more lives every year than AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. And so now, Patty and I are starting to feel responsible to this thing. And I can tell you at this time in our life, the last thing we needed to do is feel responsible for 1 billion other people. But we had this pump and we had to figure out what to do with it. And we just decided, you know what, let's go all in. And those first few months were tough. And Patty would literally pinch pennies out of our grocery budget so I can continue developing. And we got to the place where we got down to $3.51 to our name. And then my phone rang. And on the other end of the line was Bob Padgett, the founder of Assist International. And Bob had heard what we were doing, and he shared with his board, and those wonderful people decided to give us support and actually brought me on staff. And now Project 41 has been established as a unique division, and we're on track to help thousands of farmers this year. And this is an extremely simple tool. I mean, it's based on the wheel, for crying out loud. But, you know, to somebody who has literally nothing, sometimes something very simple can have a huge impact. We're working with farmers in areas that on average earn $50 a year. That's way below the low poverty line of $1 a day, $50 a year. But when they're able to irrigate their land and use this pump, they're able to grow fantastic crops. And now they can actually grow enough food for themselves, and then they have leftover to take to market. And because it's in the dry season, it's a high-value crop. And they're now earning, on average, $750 out of a single harvest. And so it's having a radical impact. And, you know, I never set out to do any of this, and I certainly never knew it would grow this big. We've been amazed at the number of just wonderful people that have seen what we're doing and caught the vision and come alongside to help. All the way, our very first donor, I kid you not, was a little old lady from Pasadena. All the way to the Pentair Corporation, the largest manufacturer of swimming pool pumps in the world. And we're so thankful for all of them. And so that leads me to the 3 reasons why I think I could possibly be the next Bill Gates. Reason number 1, Bill founded Microsoft and was single-handedly probably one of the most influential people in the fact that we now have a personal computer in just about every home in this country. And, you know, that's been a huge contribution to our society. Nobody will argue that. But I will submit to you, there are things in your home that are more important than a personal computer. And if this thing froze up as often as your PC did, you would agree with me, I tell you that. So I'll get a little bit more serious here. Reason number 2, Bill left his position at Microsoft and founded the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they are working on some of the most pressing issues facing the poor in our world today. And honestly, I'm not comparing myself to him, but I have been blessed. I have been able to leave my career of 26 years, and I am now spending my days focused on helping other people, and it is incredibly fulfilling. Which leads me to reason number 3, and this is the most important and what I want to leave you with today. Bill Gates is just a guy. He's just a guy. He's a rich guy, he's a decent guy, but he's just a guy. It does not take billions of dollars to make a difference in this world. There's an old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Well, I can promise you, I don't know that much about global development, but I do care about the poor, and that's making a difference. So when I ask you, what is it that you care about? And are you willing to be that person who steps out and makes a difference? God bless. Thank you.